Chapter 93 Breaking Through the Prison, Domain of Perpetual Ice. He was likely the first to ever take on the powerful soul skill of a soul ancestor as a soul grandmaster. However, he was successful. Huo Yuao's hands first turned the color of jade, before numerous resplendent diamond grains swiftly appeared and covered his hands. This pair of hands was akin to a work of art. At this moment though, Yana was not in the mood to appreciate this work of art. She could feel that her fire-type soul power was greatly affected by the ice gold aura from that pair of hands, giving her the impression that it was being completely forced back. How was this possible? How was this possible? Yana finally couldn't hold on any longer. The two hands pushed forward and swiftly approached the purple fireball that was heading towards Huo Yuao. It was clearest to the audience. Forget the fact that the originally massive purple fireball suddenly shrank for no reason while it was flying towards Huo Yuao, but now it was actually continuing to contract at an astonishing speed. When it arrived in front of Huo Yuao, it was not even half a foot in size. With his right hand directly cutting into it, thick white smoke rose from Huo Yuao's right hand. Quickly, with the effective soul thruster, he broke through the white smoke and arrived in front of Yana. The reason why he had targeted Yana was highly related to his element. Huo Yuao's ultimate ice was most effective against the ice element, after which was the fire element. Under the effect of the Hadong power from his fusion with Wang Dong, he could already exhibit the power of the soul ancestor level. This was also equivalent to possessing soul ancestor level ultimate ice. Against another soul ancestor of the fire element, Yana, Huo Yuao would clearly gain the upper hand. Thus, what he needed to do was to first snap his opponent's wings. Yana was indeed panicking somewhat. The suppressive effects that Huo Yuao's ultimate ice had on her exceeded even his original estimation. The absolute suppression of elements made Yana want to turn around and run away. In that brief moment, Yu Wuqing finally recovered from his paralysis. Shang Kan, who had barely avoided the golden leaf's explosion, also crawled up. They never imagined that there would be such an elemental suppression as they watched Yana being oppressed by Huo Yuao. Unfortunately, they were currently unable to move forward and assist Yana, because Bei Bei was still in front of them. When Huo Yuao had leapt over his head and pounced at Yana, Bei Bei had also lunged forward. However, his target was not Yana, but Yu Wuqing. Thus, the moment Yu Wuqing was released from his paralysis, he immediately saw Bei Bei charging towards him. What he needed to do now was protect himself, and thus he was unable to save his companions. This scene was somewhat similar to the previous round where Xia blocked their opponents to allow Hikato to build up power. However, there was no doubt that Shrek Academy's current situation was much better. Vigorous Thunderbolt. Bei Bei unleashed his area of effect skill at close proximity without hesitation. Enormous bolts of lightning devastated the sky, forming a giant lightning net. Yu Wuqing could not send out a golden leaf even if he wanted to. The two who had clashed with words earlier now stood face to face. As Yu Wuqing watched the enormous lightning pounce at him, his eyes suddenly turned golden. It was as if two golden leaves were covering his eyes. At the same time, the first and third soul rings on his body simultaneously lit up. At least a dozen golden leaves shot out from his hands, instantly turning into a golden net in the air that brazenly flew towards Bei Bei's vigorous thunderbolt. Due to the powerful explosive force the golden leaf had displayed previously, Bei Bei involuntarily paused. He did not want to be surrounded and blasted by so many golden leaves. However, he quickly realized that he had made a mistake, because although they were still the same golden leaves, their ability was different. Each golden leaf was akin to a sharp blade. The leaves forcibly sliced his vigorous thunderbolt apart before sweeping towards his body like a wildstorm. This was Yu Wuqing's first soul skill, leaf blade, and third soul skill, leaf formation. It was this offensive style that he was most proficient with. Under his control, sharp golden leaves headed straight for Bei Bei. At this very moment, Bei Bei had a certain feeling. If he were to be trapped within this leaf formation, his entire body would be ripped to shreds. However, could he retreat at such a time? Impossible. Even a little girl like Xia had done everything she could in the face of powerful enemies, and even heavy injuries had been unable to deter her as she stopped her opponents. How could he do otherwise? A somewhat evil smile appeared on the corners of Bei Bei's lips at this crucial juncture. He did not back away, but instantly dashed forward instead, charging straight at Yu Wuqing. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. On the other side, Huo Yuao had already achieved decisive results. Both of his hands had arrived in front of Yana. The ultimate ice's suppression caused Yana's heart to be filled with panic. When a woman fell into such a hysterical state, she would be much crazier than a man. The current Yana was no exception. She retreated in a flustered manner as she desperately shot fireball after fireball at Huo Yuao. However, in the face of Huo Yuao's magical hands, any fireballs that locked onto him were already greatly weakened by his ultimate ice by the time they neared his body, and could only rapidly dissipate. His soul thruster allowed Huo Yuao's speed to greatly surpass Yana's. In the end, he arrived in front of her. Two hands attacked at the same time. Their targets were Yana's shoulders. However, Yana suddenly stopped moving at this moment. The panic on her pretty face was cleanly swept off as the corners of her mouth lifted to form an enchanting smile. You've been duped, little brother. Flame prison cage. Come down with me. As she spoke, an enormous fiery light abruptly rose from the ground, enveloping Huo Yuao, Wang Dong and Yana. Huo Yuao's hands did land on Yana's shoulders, instantly freezing her entire body. However, the huge flame prison cage was already complete. More importantly, with her final bit of willpower, a pair of giant flame hands appeared in the flame prison cage and pushed in the opposite direction, causing the three of them to tumble off the competition stage. Only at this moment did Huo Yuao and Wang Dong realize that Yana had unknowingly arrived at the edge of the competition stage. Moreover, the flame prison cage she had unleashed was her fourth soul skill. This was the Continental Advanced Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. For just the academy, this was an important battle that would affect its history and glory. How could they be unprepared? The moment Huo Yuao and Wang Dong lunged at Yana, she had already realized that the situation was not optimal. However, such a situation was still within their expectations. This was not the first time Huo Yuao's ultimate ice power had seen use. Furthermore, while just the academy was researching Shrek Academy, they concluded that although Huo Yanhao's strength could not possibly be at the Soul Emperor level, he was still the opponent they needed to pay the most attention to. This was because he was a mystery. In their analysis of Huo Yuao, he possessed very powerful spiritual power, but Sky Academy did not believe that his martial soul was of the spiritual element. It should be the ice element instead. Moreover, it should be a very strong ice element. This was due to the fact that Huo Yuao had directly taken control of the Frost Bear and Lenye's soul skill during that round of the competition. Although it was close to the end of the soul skill, how could one do this without strong ice controlling powers? The reason why Yana had been dispatched during the final match was because Yu Wuqing had predicted that Huo Yuao would also appear in the final match. A powerful ice element would surely be able to suppress the fire element. Since that was so, it was very easy for Yu Wuqing to guess that Huo Yuao would target Yana. It was just that their original plan did not account for the fact that he could bring such powerful suppressive acolytes to bear. Yana's fireball martial soul was ultimately unable to withstand Huo Yuao's ultimate ice. Even her fourth soul skill, Flame Prison's Cage, was unable to threaten Huo Yuao. However, this competition was not a death match, but a match on the competition stage. Since it was a match, one had to comply with the rules, and it was also reasonable to make use of the rules. In this final moment, the debut of her Flame Prison Cage made Yana smile rather happily. This was because she had been able to remove two opponents from the stage. One of them was even their opponent's most mysterious youngster. Without this duo's help, Sky Academy fully believed that the combination of their captain, the powerful Golden Leaf Soul Master Yu Wuqing, and Shang Kan would definitely defeat Bei Bei. This was basically a trap. This was the same thought that emerged in Huo Yuao and Wang Dong's hearts the moment their bodies were brought tumbling down from the stage. Yes, this was indeed a trap, and they had already fallen into it. What Huo Yuao used at this moment was the Ice Emperor's pincer. However, even his Ice Emperor's pincer could not possibly break the flame prison cage behind him within a short period of time and bring Wang Dong back onto the stage. This was, after all, a level 46 Soul Ancestor's final fully powered soul skill. It's over. This was the only thought in Wang Dong's heart at this moment. Never in his wildest dreams did he imagine that he and Huo Yuao would actually be beaten off the stage in such a sullen manner. However, it was already too late for them to release any soul skills even if they wanted to at this moment. The Hadong power he and Huo Yuao condensed was under Huo Yuao's control. Furthermore, no matter what soul skill he used, he could not instantly break this flame prison cage. Only by instantly breaking the cage would it be possible to change everything. Was it truly over? As he looked at the smile on Yana's face, Hua Yuao's eyes faintly narrowed. In the twinkle of an eye, Yana saw a layer of dark green. A dark green luster erupted from Hua Yuao's body, and the flame prison cage was instantly wiped out, disappearing completely. Wang Dong's radiant goddess butterfly wings brought Hua Yua back onto the stage, while Yana was akin to a heavy ice statue as she smashed ruthlessly to the ground, producing a loud bang. Fortunately, this ice statue was hard enough, or else Yana's body would be completely shattered like a piece of ice. Only an extremely small handful of people were able to truly see what had happened a moment ago. In that moment, Wang Dong only felt a strong chill sweep past his body in the blink of an eye. When he and Hua Yua used the Hadong power, it was as if they were of the same body. Hence, that terrifying chill didn't permeate into his body, but rather rapidly flowed out of his body. The only thing Wang Dong could clearly see was a dark green light shining faintly in the shape of a bright scorpion on Hua Yuao's back. Hua Yuao's torso bone shone with the strongest jade light. The cold stream only lasted for a brief moment. However, the Hadong power in their bodies was close to being completely depleted when Hua Yuao and Wang Dong returned to the stage. Their combined soul forces were on par with that of a soul ancestor. That was completely depleted the instant they unleashed that burst of their soul force. Hua Yuao didn't have any other choice. He had fallen into his opponent's trap. If he didn't utilize this powerful skill, he and Wang Dong would be terminated in battle right this instant. They'd still have a chance to continue fighting if they depleted their soul power, but if they fell off stage, they wouldn't have any right to uphold Shrek's glory anymore. This was one of the two soul skills from the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion's 400,000-year torso bone, the main of Perpetual Ice. None of the members participating in this Continental Advanced Academy Soul Dueling Tournament were a match for Hua Yuao based solely on this soul skill. The four soul skills the Sky Dream Ice Worm had given him still needed to undergo countless evolutions before they could be upgraded, but the Ice Jade Scorpion Empress directly gave him her 400,000-year soul ring and soul bone. He had such a powerful soul ring and soul bone that even if he became a rank 95 Douluo in the future, or even an ultimate Douluo, the soul skills the Ice Jade Scorpion Empress had given him would still be that of an ultimate champion. However, a similar problem existed in the sense that one had to have formidable strength to support a powerful soul skill. The Ice Empress Pincer and the Ice Empress Armor were slightly better in the sense that their powers would adjust according to the soul power he injected into them. The domain of Perpetual Ice was different. This was a domain type soul skill that even Elder Mu, the Dragon God Douluo, and Elder Sun, the Tatty Douluo, envied. Moreover, this was an ultimate ice domain type soul skill. If Hua Yuao could cultivate to the level of Elder Mu and Elder Sun, it wasn't impossible for him to freeze over 1,000 miles with this terrifying soul skill. Hence, it was very difficult for Hua Yuao to achieve the lowest requirement necessary to activate this soul skill. He could only barely release it now, even when he borrowed Wang Dong's power. It was impossible for the flame prison cage to resist the domain of Perpetual Ice, since the latter completely dominated the former in terms of attribute, annihilating the flame prison cage in an instant. The audience seemed to witness the return of that soul emperor with 6 soul rings when they felt the tyrannical aura Hua Yuao exuded in that moment. Wang Dong grabbed Hua Yuao's shoulders and rushed back to the stage after breaking through the flame prison cage. Their legs hadn't come in contact with the ground, so they naturally could continue participating in the tournament. However, Hua Yuao didn't move an inch after he landed firmly on the ground as he squinted his eyes. If one were to take a closer look, they would realize that the rays of light surrounding his body were slightly distorted. It was obvious that he was using imitation again with the remnants of his soul power. However, there didn't seem to be any changes happening around his body on the surface. What was he trying to hide? The thing he was trying to hide were the ripples of silver light that belonged to his class 4 milk bottle flowing out from his chest. How could he continue fighting if he practically had no soul power left? He was hiding the silver light with his imitation. Perhaps Hua Yuao wasn't the first to use a milk bottle during the tournament, but he was the one who did it best. Him recovering his soul power was equivalent to restoring both his and Wang Dong's soul power together. The soul power coursing into his body quickly transformed into one that belonged to the both of them. That was why the milk bottle was priced so high. Other than being able to store and compress soul power, there was another very important point, and that was the purification of soul power. Any soul master could use the milk bottle after having another soul master inject soul power into it. That was because after the soul power entered the milk bottle, it would go through a round of filtering in the milk bottle's core, which would remove anything related to the soul power's attribute or power. The end product would be the purest form of soul power. Only then could others or the owner absorb it, and at a rapid speed too. The milk bottle Hua Yuao had obtained from the auction was undoubtedly an exquisite class 4 product. He felt an endless stream of soul power feeding into his body, rapidly refilling his dried up meridians. Naturally, the downside of using the milk bottle was that he couldn't fight or move. He had to calmly stand where he was and concentrate on absorbing the soul power from the milk bottle. It was considerably difficult for Hua Yuao to use imitation while absorbing the external soul power. His dexterous control was all thanks to him being a spirit type soul master. Hua Yuao had finally managed to keep his strong opponents under control after going through a series of dangerous attacks, finally reducing their opponents by 1. Just as he managed to do so, the battle on the other side of the field had reached its climax too. Bei Bei also felt it when Hua Yuao was in danger, but he was too preoccupied with Yu Wuqing's golden leaf formation. Bei Bei didn't back away when he was faced with that incomparably sharp golden leaf formation, but instead, he charged onwards and faced it head on. At this moment, he seemed to be deeply connected with Yu Wuqing as the both of them had a small smile playing on their lips. The difference was that the smile on Yu Wuqing's face was one of disdain. Do you think your scales can block my ever-changing golden leaves? On the other hand, Bei Bei's smile was a little crafty and evil. Do you think such puny leaves can block my path? Bei Bei had already penetrated the golden leaf formation when both of them held these thoughts in their minds. A scene that shocked Yu Wuqing appeared. Bei Bei suddenly became an illusion, and his footsteps seemed to become disorderly as he moved onwards like a green wisp of smoke. The golden leaves chased after his body, but they missed their target by a hair's breadth. Bei Bei wormed his way out of the golden leaf formation like a loach in the blink of an eye, appearing right in front of Yu Wuqing. At this dangerous moment, Hua Yuao had stopped using his spiritual detection sharing with Bei Bei since he was releasing the domain of Perpetual Ice. After all, it was impossible for him to control 2 different soul skills from 2 martial souls and make sure that they were both effective in such a dangerous situation. Bei Bei had completely relied on his own abilities to pass through the golden leaf formation. Bei Bei was not only a disciple of the Shrek Academy, but also a blue lightning tyrant dragon soul master. But even more so, he was a senior brother of the Tang Sect. He was the best wielder of the Tang Sect's secret techniques in this generation. The Tang Sect specialized in hidden weapons. Yu Wuqing's golden leaf was extremely similar to a hidden weapon to some extent. Tang San, the founder of the Tang Sect, would be laughing if he saw Yu Wuqing playing with hidden weapons in front of a hidden weapons expert. Bei Bei had already had a plan when he saw Yu Wuqing's martial soul. He was waiting for an opportunity like the one before his eyes right now. He saw through the fact that this golden leaf formation was different from the one Yu Wuqing had used before within Hua Yuao's spiritual detection. But Bei Bei still retreated to confuse his opponent and delude Yu Wuqing into thinking that he was afraid. He'd silently endured through the previous moment to release this explosive attack now. From the start of the match till now, one could say that every single person on the field was constantly plotting against their opponents. Even though Just Key Academy was distinctly stronger than Shrek Academy, they were similarly filled with apprehension. In their eyes, everyone from the Shrek Academy was a monster. Shu Sanchi could awaken his swan with God Beast at the 11th hour. Xiao Xiao had twin martial souls. Hikaiju wielded that terrifying super energy gathering soul cannon. Only the heavens knew why the shocking changes these remaining 3 would show. That was why Just Key Academy had held back a little at the beginning, but even then everything had been within a series of set calculations. However, they had never expected that Hua Yuao could release such a terrifying soul skill like the domain of Perpetual Ice and reduce their numbers by 1 in an instant. It didn't matter how strong Yu Wuqing was because he was an expert in long-ranged attacks. Even though there wasn't much difference between their cultivations, Bei Bei was an expert in close-ranged attacks as a soul master with the blue lightning tyrant dragon. Just at this exact moment, a chime from the soul-sucking bell rang out in an attempt to hinder Bei Bei's advancement, but the chime only lasted for a few seconds before coming to a sudden stop. A dull hum rang out, and fresh blood flew out of Shangan Kan's nostrils before he staggered down to the ground. The purplish golden light inside Hua Yuao's eyes slowly disappeared as he stood not far off. How could he sit idly by and watch his senior brother struggle to fight alone? When the milk bottle replenished a certain amount of his soul power, he immediately attacked Shangan Kan, who was attempting to interfere with Bei Bei's attacks. He eliminated the soul-sucking bell's threat with just a single spiritual shock, after which, he reactivated the milk bottle again and continued replenishing both his and Wang Dong's soul power. Bei Bei's thick and solid right arm was covered in bluish-purple dragon scales as it sparked with lightning. He swatted it right in front of Yu Wuqing as all the golden leaves chased him from behind. Even so, Bei Bei seemed to be completely disregarding them. It didn't matter how It didn't matter how strong a Soul King's attack was, because all would be futile if the attack didn't land on their opponent. Yi Wuqing was still expressionless, but he didn't retreat. He suddenly raised his left hand when faced with Bei Bei's attack, clenching it as he faced Bei Bei's dragon claw up front. Bang! Yi Wuqing blocked his thunderous dragon claw with his fist, startling Bei Bei. Yi Wuqing turned his left to land and grabbed a hold of Bei Bei's dragon claw. The meridians in Yi Wuqing's left hand suddenly became bigger in a split second, and a large quantity of venative veins dazzled in gold. His whole hand turned completely golden as his fourth soul ring lit up. Was a long-range soul master really that weak? Yi Wuqing's actions proved to everyone that might not necessarily be the case. This was his fourth soul skill, the golden left hand. That's right, this soul skill only amplified his left hand. If his golden left hand unleashed another golden leaf, its power would double. The golden left hand was also immensely powerful, and held a strong defensive ability. Bei Bei had already used all his energy to unleash his vigorous thunderbolt, but even so, he couldn't electrocute his opponent with the golden left hand suppressing him. His opponent had completely overpowered him with his fourth soul skill powered by his rank 58 soul power. Bastard. Bei Bei roared out and unleashed his third soul skill, Thunderous Fury, the powerful 1000-year soul skill. A blue lightning tyrant dragon soul master would be in a berserk state for a set period of time when the Thunderous Fury was activated. The power of the user's thunder would double, while his or her soul power would increase by half of what it originally was. One could say that Bei Bei was only the strongest when he used his Thunderous Fury. His power that had previously been suppressed stabilized in a flash. The terrifying thunderbolt also broke through the golden left hand's control and spread over Yi Wuqing. However, it was at this moment that Bei Bei saw the cold look in Yi Wuqing's eye, which caused him to curse out in his heart. Without the slightest hint of hesitation, Bei Bei continuously released his second soul skill, Vigorous Thunderbolt. His tremendous thunderbolts immediately turned into a thick electrical net that shrouded his whole body. Yi Wuqing protected himself within the electrical net with a light shield made of his dense white soul power. Even though he was rapidly depleting his soul power, he didn't face a direct attack from the Vigorous Thunderbolt in the end. This was the disparity in soul power. If both parties were at the same level of cultivation, it would definitely be impossible for him to do this. Yi Wuqing hadn't done anything else all this while. What was he waiting for? He was waiting for his golden leaf. His first soul skill, Leaf Blade, was in sync with his third soul skill, Leaf Formation. With him delaying Bei Bei with his left hand, how could Bei Bei still dodge with the Tang Sect's secret technique, Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track? The Vigorous Thunderbolt could only block those sharp leaf blades for just a moment even after having its power amplified by the Thunderous Fury. This further reflected the disparity between a Soul King and a Soul Ancestor. However, Bei Bei was equally as outstanding. He could actually respond to his opponent under such disadvantageous circumstances. His Thunderous Dragon Claw erupted again and, amplified with the effects of his Thunderous Fury, forcibly shocked Yi Wuqing away. He wrung his body around at the same time and faced the golden leaf formation. The audience then saw a huge clump of silver threads shoot out from his chest, encompassing a large surface area. It was so large that it could actually envelop a large part of the golden leaf formation. A chain of clanks rang out, Yi Wuqing's golden leaves broken into pieces before his eyes. It was truly an unbelievable sight to him. Not only that, but Bei Bei suddenly transformed into a being that resembled Guan Yin with 1,000 hands while he was blocking the golden leaf formation. Numerous hidden weapons resembling throwing knives, darts and flying needles flew out. He didn't even need to look as he did so, aiming with frightening precision. Not only did that attack deal with Yi Wuqing, but it also enveloped Shang Kan, who was standing far off. Shang Kan had just stood up a moment ago, but this attack scared him so much that he didn't even have time to ring his soul-absorbing bell. That's right. These were the Tang Sect's hidden weapons. Even if the Tang Sect had declined, who would dare to say that Tang Sect's hidden weapons were useless? But they had once been popular on the continent. Yi Wuqing rapidly swung his golden left hand out, and his second soul ring shone. Golden leaves rapidly fell to the ground and exploded into intense balls of light, forming a huge golden storm. It neutralized all those hidden weapons, but it also made him miss the chance to flank Bei Bei. Bei Bei didn't relax either. In the end, he didn't destroy all the golden leaves. Two golden rays of light flashed past his body. One grazed his right shoulder, sending a string of sparks in its wake. The dragon scales on his right shoulder were much thicker when he was in his Thunderous Fury state, so the attack was unable to slice them open. However, another golden leaf flitted across his chest and left a small gash about half a meter long in its wake. Blood splashed out and dyed Bei Bei's lapel red in the blink of an eye. The sharp golden leaf had cut his pectoral muscles and caused his flesh to roll back, making for an extremely horrifying sight. Yi Wuqing finally didn't hold back anymore. His opponent was only a soul ancestor, but he was much more troublesome than he had imagined. The whole aura around Yi Wuqing changed when his fifth black soul ring lit up. He slowly raised his golden left hand and waved his hand at the sky. Looking at him, it looked as though he wanted to tear through the sky. Specks of golden light shone on that black soul ring. The small golden specks of light rapidly floated out and encompassed his body, forming a golden light canopy. There were only tens of leaves in the previous leaf formation, but now there were hundreds or even thousands of golden leaves. The leaves rapidly whirled around with his body as their center. The whole stage immediately sparkled with a brilliant golden light. This was the difference between a 10,000-year soul skill and a 1,000-year soul skill. Yi Wuqing once again showed everyone how terrifying a 10,000-year soul skill was, with this being the second time one had appeared in this year's tournament. At this moment, Bei Bei turned around with much difficulty, since he just sustained injuries. Now, he had to face Yi Wuqing's terrifying golden leaf that was just like a tornado. Yi Wuqing coldly said, "This is my fifth soul skill, Golden Leaf Dance. You guys better admit defeat if you don't want to turn into pieces of meat." Shang Kan had already stood up, and was standing not too far behind Yi Wuqing. He didn't even try to ring the soul-absorbing bell as a look of victory appeared on his face. Just the Academy was about to triumph over Shrek Academy. He was one of the very last participants remaining on stage who was about to bear witness to this very moment. How could he not feel excited? Bei Bei pursed his lips and raised his right hand, gesturing at Yi Wuqing with the index finger of his dragon claw. His signature refined smile appeared on his face. "Don't think you've won." Yi Wuqing realized that he really couldn't control himself in front of this fellow. He hated how the other party appeared to be gentle and refined, yet spouted foul words at him. The terrifying golden leaf dance ascended and engulfed Bei Bei like a powerful golden current. He was so experienced that he knew both Huo Yuao and Wang Dong were spent, and had consumed too much of their soul power. As long as he got rid of Bei Bei, it would definitely be possible for him to triumph over those two. Shang Kan also seized the opportunity and took up a small milk bottle as he stood there, replenishing his soul power. His milk bottle was a bracelet, and didn't seem to be as meticulous as the one Huo Yuao had, but its recovery speed wasn't slow at all. It was very clear that he wasn't going to be careless even if victory was in their hands. A hint of despair appeared on Huo Yuao and Wang Dong's faces. Even if they used the golden road amidst withering resplendence, it would be impossible for them to stop everything that was happening before their eyes. It was impossible for their opponent not to dodge, and when they did dodge, their skill would be ineffective. Could they still interrupt the completed golden leaf dance? Little junior brother, get ready to back me up. Bei Bei still didn't back away as he faced the golden leaf dance. The smile and gentleness in his eyes gradually became domineering. Bei Bei naturally kept his true abilities under lock and key. After all, he was called the Gemini of the Outer Courtyard, and had been unofficially declared as the next generation of Shrek's 7 monsters along with Shu Sanchi. A violent roar rang out from Bei Bei's mouth. Soon after, the lightning surrounding his body turned gold and shone brightly, forming a golden eye-catching ball above his head. Soon after, dragon scales rapidly extended from Bei Bei's right shoulder while he was still in his thunderous fury state. They covered his whole body in the blink of an eye, and the aura around him completely changed. He now had a lofty, tyrannical and an indescribably powerful and kingly aura around him. Bei Bei's blue lightning tyrant dragon was powerful martial soul. However, the current Bei Bei was already miles ahead of what he had been before. Even Huo Yuao didn't think he could suppress that horribly tyrannical aura. The Sky Dream Iceworm and the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion seemed to speak up in Huo Yuao's mind at the same time. Golden Holy Dragon. Bei Bei's vigor had reached its peak. He stepped out with his left foot and shouted, "Tyrant King, thunderous domain." Below the stage, Wang Yan had already buried his face in his hands. He felt depressed as he thought, just how many things are these little ones hiding from me? Golden light that resembled a whirlwind of angry waves burst forth. Since the golden light was made out of rays of lightning, a golden color filled the air and fully covered a 20-meter radius around him. What was even scarier was that the angry golden wave soared and created a tremendous attractive force under Bei's control, absorbing and tearing the golden leaf dance to pieces. The skills both parties used were golden. Every piece of golden leaf turned to fine dust in this explosive golden battle. They instantly vanished in a puff of smoke. Bei clasped his hands in front of his chest and made the hand movements for controlling crane capturing dragon that Hua Yuao was very familiar with. He then pushed his hands out in front of him, and that golden thunderous domain surged towards Yi Wuqing, enveloping him in the process. Yi Wuqing also bellowed out, and golden rays of light shone from him. The intense rumble coming from him formed a continuous golden storm, contending with Bei's thunderous domain. However, the power of Bei's ability had far surpassed his judgment. His thunderous domain gradually forced its way over to Yi Wuqing till it was right in front of him. Little junior brother, now. Bei roared out and stomped with his right leg. His thunderous domain rushed forth, but gradually weakened till it disappeared at the same time. Yi Wuqing's whole body was enveloped within it, completely covered with golden lightning. He was paralyzed. Hua Yuao naturally understood what his senior brother meant. He immediately turned around and was about to hug Wang Dong when he heard a clear jingle ring out at the same time. He subconsciously stopped what he was about to do and looked over from the corner of his eye. The scene that graced his eyes took him back by surprise. Shangan Kan, who'd previously been replenishing his soul power with a milk bottle, appeared once again. He rang his soul-sucking bell again, but what was different from before was that his expression had become tremendously serious and dignified. That was definitely not an expression a person who would normally be reluctant to succumb to others would have. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.